Welcome everyone. I'm excited to kick off our session today with our first slide. Today, we're diving into mensuration in mathematics. This is a fascinating topic that helps us understand the measurement of geometric figures. On this slide, you see the title, Mensuration in Mathematics, which is what we'll be exploring. Over the course of this presentation, we'll cover the basic concepts, formulas, and applications of mensuration. So, let's get started and explore this interesting subject together. Today, we'll be exploring the contents of our lesson on mensuration. We'll start with an introduction to what mensuration actually is, which is all about measuring geometric figures and solids. Next, we'll focus on various shapes, beginning with the rectangle, then moving on to the triangle and the square, each with its own unique properties and formulas. We'll also look at the parallelogram and the trapezium, which are special types of quadrilaterals. Additionally, we'll cover the rhombus, another interesting shape with its own characteristics. Importantly, we'll dive into the volume of solids, understanding how to measure three-dimensional objects. Finally, we'll tie everything together by learning how to find the area and perimeter of these shapes. This overview helps us see how all these concepts fit into the broader theme of mensuration, which is really about understanding and calculating the dimensions of both flat and solid figures. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating world of mensuration. So, what exactly is mensuration in mathematics? Well, mensuration is a branch of math that focuses on measuring the areas and volumes of different geometrical figures. Think of shapes like cubes, cuboids, cylinders, cones, and spheres. Each of these has its own way of occupying space and area. The main goal of mensuration is to develop formulas that help us accurately calculate these measurements. These formulas are essential because they allow us to understand and quantify the size of various objects, whether we're working in architecture, engineering, or everyday problem solving. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding mensuration gives us the tools to analyze and work with the shapes and spaces around us in a precise and scientific way. Today, we're going to explore what we will learn in this part of the course. First, we'll look at the area of quadrilaterals and polygons, which helps us understand the surface measurements of flat shapes. Then, we'll move on to the surface area of solids, where we figure out the total area covering three-dimensional objects. Lastly, we'll cover the volume of solids, which is all about understanding how much space these objects occupy. These concepts are essential because they build a strong foundation for understanding the properties of different geometric shapes, both flat and solid, which ties into our overall goal of mastering geometry. So, let's dive into each of these topics and see how they connect to the bigger picture. Let's talk about area and perimeter, which are fundamental concepts when working with two-dimensional shapes. First, area is all about measuring the amount of space inside the boundary of a shape. Think of it as the surface you could cover with paint or tile. It's a way to understand how much space a shape actually takes up. Next, perimeter is slightly different. It's about the distance around the outside of the shape. If you imagine walking all the way around a figure, the total distance you cover is the perimeter. To find it, you just add up the lengths of all the sides. Both of these measurements are important because they help us understand and analyze shapes in different ways. Area tells us about the size of the surface, while perimeter gives us the boundary length. These ideas are essential as we explore more complex shapes and their properties throughout this presentation. Let's talk about the square. A square is a special type of quadrilateral where all four sides are exactly the same length, and every angle inside is a right angle, meaning 90 degrees. This symmetry makes it a very balanced shape. Now, an interesting point is that for a quadrilateral to be a square, it must also satisfy some other conditions. For example, its opposite sides are parallel, which means the sides across from each other never meet and stay equidistant. Another key aspect is about the diagonals. In a square, the diagonals not only bisect each other, that is, they cut each other exactly in half, but they are also perpendicular, crossing at right angles. Plus, these diagonals are of equal length, adding to the perfect symmetry. Finally, a really important idea to remember is that a square can be viewed as both a rhombus and a rectangle. It's both a special kind of rhombus with equal sides and a special rectangle with right angles. When a shape satisfies both conditions, it's a square. So, in the broader context of our exploration of geometric shapes, the square is a perfect example of how specific properties combine to define a unique and highly symmetrical figure. Let's talk about rectangles. A rectangle is a four-sided figure, and the key thing to remember is that all four of its angles are right angles, meaning each one is 90 degrees. This is what gives the rectangle its characteristic shape. Another important point is that the diagonals, those are the lines drawn from corner to corner, bisect each other, which means they cut each other exactly in half. Plus, these diagonals are equal in length, which helps us identify a rectangle. It's also interesting to note that rectangles include both squares, which have all sides equal, and oblongs, which are rectangles with unequal adjacent sides. Understanding these properties is crucial because they connect to the overall theme of recognizing different types of quadrilaterals based on their characteristics. So, when you're looking at a four-sided figure, these key features, right angles, equal diagonals, and bisected diagonals, help you identify it as a rectangle. Let's talk about the triangle. A triangle is a simple but fundamental shape in geometry, composed of 3 edges and 3 vertices. Think of it as the most basic polygon you can have, nothing more complicated than 3 sides connecting 3 points. When we refer to a specific triangle, we usually name its vertices like A, B, and C. So, a triangle with these points is called triangle ABC. Understanding this shape is essential because triangles appear everywhere in design, architecture, and even in nature. They're the building blocks for many more complex structures, making them a key concept as we explore the fundamentals of geometry. A parallelogram is a type of quadrilateral, which means it has 4 sides. The key defining feature of a parallelogram is that it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. This parallelism creates some interesting properties that we can rely on. For example, the opposite sides are not only parallel, but also equal in length. Additionally, the opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal to each other. Another important point is that the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, meaning they cut each other exactly in half. It's helpful to remember that parallelograms include special types like rhombi and rhomboids. And since rectangles are also a type of parallelogram, because they have right angles, they're included in this category as well. Understanding these properties helps us see how parallelograms fit into the bigger picture of geometric shapes, especially when we're analyzing their angles, sides, and diagonals. These properties form the foundation for recognizing and working with various quadrilaterals in both theoretical and real-world applications. Let's take a closer look at the trapezium, or trapezoid as it's called in some regions. In Euclidean geometry, a trapezium is a convex quadrilateral that has at least 1 pair of parallel sides. This is a key characteristic that sets it apart from other 4-sided figures. The parallel sides are known as the bases of the trapezium, and they play a crucial role in defining its shape. The other 2 sides, which are not parallel, are called the legs or lateral sides. If, by chance, these sides are also parallel, then the figure actually has 2 pairs of bases, making it a special kind of trapezium. Understanding these terms is essential because they help us analyze the properties and relationships within the shape. Recognizing the bases and legs allows us to explore concepts like height, area, and symmetry, which are fundamental in geometry. This concept ties back to our overall theme, how different quadrilaterals are classified, and what unique properties they possess. So, by grasping what makes a trapezium special, we're building a stronger foundation for understanding more complex geometric figures. Let's take a closer look at the rhombus. A rhombus, or simply a rhomb, is a 4-sided figure where all sides are of equal length. That's one of its defining features. But there's more to it. Another key characteristic is that the diagonals of a rhombus perpendicularly bisect each other. In other words, they cross at right angles and cut each other exactly in half. You can think of a rhombus as a pushed-over square. It looks like a square that's been tilted or slanted, but it still maintains that equal side length. Interestingly, a square itself is a special type of rhombus because it meets all these conditions. So, in the context of our overall discussion on quadrilaterals, Understanding the properties of a rhombus helps us see how these special shapes relate, especially how symmetry and angle relationships define their unique characteristics. Now, let's talk about the volume of solids, starting with the cube. A cube has 6 faces, and each of those faces is a square. What's important to remember here is that all the sides of each square face are of equal length. This symmetry is what makes the cube so unique. When calculating the volume of a cube, we take the length of one side and multiply it by itself 3 times. So the formula is simple. Volume of the cube equals length times length times length. This means if you know the length of one edge, you can easily find the total space inside the cube. Understanding this concept is fundamental because it helps us grasp how volume relates to the dimensions of three-dimensional objects, which ties into the overall theme of understanding shapes and their measurements. Now let's talk about the cuboid. A cuboid also has 6 faces, but unlike a cube, not all these faces are the same size or shape. Some faces are rectangular, and their dimensions can vary. When we calculate the volume of a cuboid, we use the formula, length times breadth times height. This means that to find out how much space is inside, you multiply the measurement of one side by the measurement of the adjacent sides. Understanding this helps us see how different dimensions affect the overall size of the shape, which is a key concept when working with three-dimensional objects in real life.